Welcome, guys, to this episode of the XBA. We are back after a little bit of a hiatus from our XBA championship. We left off with Kansas City defeating Montreal. So bravo to your Kansas City Stampede. But we're going to get season number 6 kind of going here. We're going to start off with the offseason. We're going to start off with our draft lottery. So you guys see the board here. Washington Founders going twice already, so probably not what they wanted out of this. The Jacks will pick 17th. Night Owls at 19. Jacksonville jump 16. We're going to have free agency later today too, guys. So you will see where people landed. And we will also have the draft. So looking forward to that. You got Supernovas Martians going next. Next up, Detroit. So no major surprises right now. San Diego Cyclones 12. So we're getting closer to the finish line here. The Vortex will pick 11th. Vancouver, a team I've been harping on it. They have to figure out what they're going to do this season and or how good are they going to be. Obviously, we're coming up against the end of the series, so it's time to get things going here. Nashville Tempo are going to go 9th. So that said, Atlanta and Kentucky will get boosted. El Paso picking 8th. Number 7 will go to Cincinnati. So things obviously looking good here if you're a Colliers or Olympians fan. Atlanta's had a lot of luck in the XBA lottery for sure. Bruisers go 6, Fly Guys go 5, and now the fun part. Picking 4th, it will be the Honolulu Riptide. Okay, so the Riptide are going 4. 3 will go to the Toronto Stags from SoCal. So they totally won that trade with the Supernovas and totally ripped them off. So number 2 will be Atlanta. So therefore, your number 1 draft selection with 4% checking in with the odds. The Kentucky Colliers will go number 1. So that's our top 3 right there, all Eastern Conference. Kentucky, Atlanta, Toronto, and the Riptide picking 4th. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. Right now, we do have to figure out, though, who are going to be free agents. So basically everybody's up on the board this year. If you have an asterisk next to your name, that means you are an 80 or above, and that factors into how good of a free agent selection you get. So if you finish in the upper half of our randomized list, you will become a free agent. And it looks like the Tempo are going to keep Kevin Durant. So that's a win if you are Nashville. You got BC Chicago, a lot of guys on the board. Mitchell Robinson, Chris Paul will be entering the free agent class. Columbus, a lot of guys on the board, a lot of their core players for sure. We'll see how this goes for them. Obviously, you want to keep Zion. That's the big one. And it looks like Isaiah Stewart and Hero will try the free agent market. So moving along here, we have Fultz and Dumboya for the Stags. But they're going to keep both of those guys. They are going to offload some meaningless dead weight, it looks like. LA Leopards, big names on the board here. Hunter and Jamal Murray. It looks like Murray's going to go for the Leopards. So if you have an odd number, I take the lower numbers. So if you have 11, the top 5 go and the 6 will stay. So that's kind of how I've been doing that over the last couple of years. Karl Anthony Towns declaring his intention to leave Pittsburgh. That's a big one. That is going to be a major factor as we move forward here. Mo Bamba leaving the St. Louis Arrows. So he's been a mainstay for the 5 seasons that we've had in the XBA. Jimmy Butler on track to leave Atlanta. So they're going to keep Capella and Wiggins. Now, Miami, that's a big deal here. We got Tatum, Mitchell, and Hardaway. We're going to see how the algorithm treats Miami, and not very good. Looks like Mitchell, Hardaway, and Tatum all declaring. So really bad draw for the Miami Night Owls. They never made that work exactly. Cole Anthony, who has really broken out in Carolina, on his way out the door. Vancouver Vortex, a couple decent names there. Tristan Thompson and Covington will leave Vancouver. So we're about halfway through here. A lot of names here for the Las Vegas Jacks. Let's see who they end up leaving here. That's usually where I leave the cursor. That's kind of the spot to watch. So DeRozan, Monk, Smart, and DiVincenzo. So big losses there for Vegas. We'll see how they do in free agency, see if they can make that up. A lot of veterans here for the City Slickers. Right where I got Kennard, that's where we're going to leave it. So it'll be Jerome, Claxton, Nader, Len, Brokoff, and Siakam, and Bird. So Siakam, the big name there, but they keep LaMelo, so that's kind of the win, I think, for the City Slickers. All right, Morant and Doncic coming off a title, and it looks like Luka will leave. Morant will stay. So that is a huge loss for Kansas City, but you won an XBA championship, so everything else is gravy. Kurt Culver on track to leave for the Supernovas. Otto Porter going to stay. All right. A lot of names here for Tampa Bay. A lot of good players, too. They got 5 guys, 80 and better. And they are going to lose Kuzma, Irving, and Bitadze. So they're going to have to make some moves here in free agency to make up for that loss. They keep Gallinari and Kobo. They have a very deep bench, though, so I think they'll be okay. Trae Young and Porter for the Riptide on the board here. Let's see what they've got going on. And they're going to keep Trae Young, so that's kind of what they wanted there. They're going to lose the 5 and keep 6 guys. New York Neon here. You got Hampton, Conley. They're leaving with Tobias Harris staying. So that's a good, decent draw for New York. I mean, Conley's on the downswing. He's old. But, you know, RJ Hampton, they got good guards, obviously, so they should be able to eat that. Lonnie Walker leaving for Denver. Simmons and Bridges going to stay. So that's a good win there for the Summit. Kentucky Colliers here. Anthony Davis is the guy we need to watch. I mean, that will probably determine the outcome of the league. Anthony Davis entering free agency. Brutal loss for Kentucky. But we'll see how they make up for it. New Orleans Neptunes. Damian Lillard on his way out. Kawhi Leonard going to stay. Montreal Gatiques. A lot of good names on this board. They came up just short in the XBA Finals, lost in 6. And Hayward, Gobert, and PJ Washington. Bad deal there for Montreal. Alaska Chill up here. Giannis, the big name, but Giannis will stay. Darius Garland on his way out the door, though. But Giannis keeping him in Alaska was big. Guess he didn't want to try to get more money. McCollum and Portis out for Houston. Wisconsin Bandits here. James Harden, Embiid, and Ball are all headed out. So that's a really big loss for Wisconsin. We have here the Jacksonville Jump. We're going to lose Giles, Alexander Walker. We're going to keep Steph Curry. So that's the big one there. All right, Phoenix Monsters. Devin Booker, Murray, and Abdaya. And it looks like Booker on his way out. They're going to keep Adebayo and Murray. All right, up next we have the San Diego Cyclones. Russell Westbrook, their star player and corner piece over the years. He will be gone. California Dragons up next. We got Pascal with Kemba Walker and Simons. Kemba's going to stay. Pascal leaving. All right, San Jose Cyborgs. Who do we have here? George, Carter Jr., and Robinson Earl. We're going to lose Carter Jr. and George. All right, Seattle Martians. You got Herter, Hayes, Porzingis, Maxey. Big names here for the Martians. Herter and Hayes out the door for Seattle. They're going to keep Porzingis and Maxey. Almost to the end here, Detroit Power. You're going to lose Bradley Beal. It's tough. He's kind of the guy for that team. El Paso Peppers, Kobe White, the big name there. And they're going to keep Kobe White. Washington Founders. You're going to lose Holmes and Richardson. So that's it for free agency. What do you say we get this draft underway? Kentucky Colliers going number 1. They are going to select Brett Forbes out of XBA 2 from the Sizzle. He was one of the top players in XBA 2, but he might even make a bigger leap. Max Boss will go second to the Olympians. I had to rename this guy. Like, I had issues with the draft class editor. So there's a couple names that won't be the same, or the appearances as well. Austin Forbes to Toronto. Deshaun Thompson out of Fresno State. Kind of fits a need for the Riptide at 4 overall. And this is definitely not Liad Laterman, but he was in my draft class, and then when we got to the draft, he was always gone. And it might have been him having to be from Israel, I don't know. But Liad Laterman of XBA 2 going to Carolina, and then Colby Dale of XBA 2 High Risers going to the Bruisers. Ruka, another XBA 2 guy, going to the Cincinnati Chili Dogs. 7-foot center. Bjorn Bergstrom, center from Sweden. Should be Sweden, but he went to Iowa. He should be a pretty good offensive piece for the Peppers. Tricanada, I can't even say this. Tricanada Podgorica out of St. Joe's. Interesting prospect there. Chris Smoove, 6-foot point guard, going to San Jose. So, San Jose has had some point guard issues over the years. Esteban Ramos, XBA 2 guy, small forward. Vancouver, got a lot of pieces. Joshua Bankston, XBA 2, going to the San Diego Cyclones. Dalton Jett out of Oklahoma, power forward for the Detroit Power. Could be a good fit. I think can shoot a little bit. This is Smokey Williams Oak. I don't know if that was meant to be Oakley, but that's how it came up in the form. So Smokey Williams Oak, okay, for the Martians. Lachlan Chisholm, power forward for the Supernovas. Lucian Jericho, point guard out of Minnesota, selected by the Jacksonville Jump. He gets to learn behind Steph Curry, I guess. Mario Pinza, point guard out of Italy, going to the Las Vegas Jacks. They lost some guards to free agency. Amari Wallace, falling to 18th, small forward, North Carolina. Deep team for Washington. That's not Jason Beck, but that was who Miami was intending to select. So Jason Beck going to the Miami Nighthawks. James Kapatos, he's from Greece. I remember Ethan Marks, a center for the St. Louis Arrows. They might need him. Elver Gunnar Olafsson. He's from Iceland. Played college ball at Kansas. Charles Hemingway, point guard. He was XBA 2. He's going to the Washington Founders. Jean-Luc Baudin out of France. Small forward, 6'7", for the Denver Summit. Adrian Jackson, small forward out of Louisville. Or Louisville, I guess is how they like to say it. Brian Rusi out of Indiana goes to the New York Neon. 28th overall. Tampa Bay selects Aiden Oliver out of Wagner. It's the last time Wagner had a free agent or a draft prospect. I don't know. Leroy Bodie to the Neptunes. Yoon Yi to Montreal. Marvell Pierre to the Columbus Basket Hounds. And we're almost done with the first round. Ahudi Uwati. Interesting name. NC State product goes to LA. Connor Jeffries, a 6'11 center out of Kansas. He's going to have to fight against Chembanuke for minutes at center. So we'll see how that ends up. XBA 2, our last XBA 2 guy off the board, Darius Marshall to Toronto. Daniel Smith, a point guard out of Villanova. And then Max Chen to BC Chicago. Goes 30... I forgot where we're at. I know the numbers are like a little bit off. Aiden Stevko, that should be the 36th pick. Should go to Kansas City for Aiden Stevko. And then we got a couple picks here in the second round. Clay Foster and Dwight Webb III to the Fly Guys. So we simulated the rest of round 2. Most of these guys were not custom guys. In fact, I don't think any of them were customs outside of the top 2. So obviously had a couple, out of Turkey. So a couple guys are not totally going to be factors down the stretch, obviously, with this being the final year. So let's look at our prime selection teams. If your team traded away an 80-plus player like the Peppers trading James Harden, I gave that team an extra selection. So this is kind of how it all sorted out. You got the teams on the left have the 3s, the middle have 2 picks, and the ones on the right have 1 selection in that first round of free agency. As we go to the Wheel of Destiny, guys, it's coming in. But Toronto, the only team that does not have a prime, quote-unquote, prime selection. So we'll see how this free agency goes. Here is the board. Luka being the top player, arguably. Anthony Davis, it's debatable, one of those 2 guys, but you see Embiid and Booker and guys like that up there. A lot of good stuff in the middle as well, like Paul George, Jimmy Butler, guys, CJ McCollum, guys like that. A lot of good good filler pieces down here in the upper 70s. So should have something for everybody here, unless you're the Toronto Stags, who don't get to pick anybody. But that's what we have. Darius Garland, Lillard, Harden. This is some big names here, guys. So let's get to it. Luka Doncic, the first guy up. All 35 teams want a piece of Luka Doncic. So we're going to see where he ends up landing. Luka's going to sign with the Seattle Martians. I did not see that coming, but interesting deal there. Anthony Davis. Everybody wants a piece of Anthony Davis as well. He's going to go second on the board. See where he lands. San Diego. The Cyclones get Anthony Davis. So that should be big for them. Jason Tatum up next. All 35 teams in the mix for Jason Tatum. Let's see where the Wheel of Destiny goes. And oh my God, it's going to San Diego. What are the odds of that? That San Diego gets 2 of the top 3 players. So San Diego's free agency is done. They're done. They got their 2 guys, and they are all set to go. Karl Anthony Towns, the next one up. LA? No. He's going to Nashville. Nashville Tempo. He's going to team up with Kevin Durant, so I think that should make them a factor. Joel Embiid here. Only 21 teams. He's a pure center, so a lot of teams already have an answer at center, and they don't need him, or he wouldn't want to sign there. But he will go to Kentucky. So Kentucky arguably downgrading a little bit from Anthony Davis to Embiid, but definitely not a big loss for the Colliers. James Harden up next. 33 teams for him. Wow. He's going back to El Paso, where it all started. What do you know? Donovan Mitchell next up here. See Donovan Mitchell, point guard, shooting guard, and he will go to Jacksonville. So the Jacksonville jump will have Steph Curry and Donovan Mitchell. So we'll see if that can elevate the jump into the next tier. They've been pretty solid in the last few years, but nothing spectacular. Damian Lillard here, point guard, shooting guard, bit older now, but he was going back to New Orleans. So he had a change of heart. He decided New Orleans was best for him. Kyrie Irving, pure point guard here. 24 teams on the board for Kyrie. And he's going out to California. San Jose Cyborgs get Kyrie Irving. Darius Garland, the next point guard up. A lot of teams looking to add Garland. He's going to go for the Seattle Martians. So, wow, the Martians get Doncic and Garland. Big gains there. Cole Anthony, big-time shooting guard. He can't play point guard, but I know lately for Carolina he's been a shooting guard. And he will go to El Paso. So he will team up with Harden. Wow, so they got 3 really good guards now, in addition to Kobe White. RJ Barrett, one of the core players for the Columbus Basket Hounds over the years. He's going to go to Pittsburgh. I guess he was torn between Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. He decided on the Paladins. All right, Paul George, a bit older now. I'm guessing he's about 33 at this stage in the game. He will sign with Kansas City, so big shoes to fill there for Luka Doncic. Kyle Kuzma, the next one up. Kyle Kuzma going to LA. So he will join with the Leopards. Pascal Siakam going away from New York. The first round pick in the XBA draft. Pascal Siakam at the very tail end of round 1 ended up going to New York. He's going to sign with Philadelphia. Bradley Beal, the next one. Obviously, a lot of guys could use Bradley Beal, big time scorer at shooting guard, and he was between Cincinnati and California. He will go with the California Dragons. All right, Jimmy Butler, the next one up. Now, Jimmy Butler's getting old, okay? I think he's 35, but he can still play. He's still pretty solid, and he was right between Tampa and Vancouver. He's going to go to Tampa Bay. Michael Porter Jr. here has progressed very nicely with the Riptide / Dallas Barons, but he will leave that for the Cincinnati Chili Dogs. All right, so we are winding down a little bit. I'm not going to show the entire free agency. I think I probably got about another 10 wheel spins to go. Those are the big players here. Jonathan Isaac signing with the Wisconsin Bandits. Jarrett Culver, the next one up. I know in real life, Jarrett Culver's not playing too hot, but he is like an 82, I think, right now. So he will sign with Philly. So Philly just adding to that depth there. All right, 15 teams here for Rudy Gobert. 15 teams that really need a top flight center. Let's see who will get him. It will be the Detroit Power. Detroit. They've been missing that factor for a while at center. Mo Bamba, the next one up. 14 teams now for the Mo Bamba sweepstakes. We'll see St. Louis gets him back. He is going to go to St. Louis's arch enemy, the Alaska Chill. So you talk about wingspan for that team. Bamba and Giannis joining up. Mitchell Robinson will be the next center off the board. Mitchell Robinson, St. Louis, no. He's going to go to New York, so he should start and get some big-time minutes and be a massive factor for the City Slickers. All right, Wendell Carter. He can play power forward, so we'll see. Houston, I mean, Houston's got a lot of players already, so I'll have to fight for playing time there. But P.J. Washington, same deal for him. Going to have to fight for some minutes here if he's going to join the Vancouver Vortex, a young team with a lot to prove. Harry Giles III, another flex guy, power forward and center. Center might be his primary spot, but New Orleans, that's big for New Orleans. They don't have Thomas Bryant anymore, so going to New Orleans should help. Isaiah Stewart will re-sign with the Columbus Baskethounds. So we've had 3 re-signings, so that's interesting. So all the big guys, that next wave of big guys have kind of settled down. We're going back to guards again. Jamal Murray going to Houston. Man, so Houston's building up a big team here. A lot of names for that squad. RJ Hampton, a young guard. He's got a lot of potential still. He is progressing nicely. He will re-sign with the Neons. So we've had, I think, our 4th guy that re-signed. Harden went back to El Paso, Lillard to New Orleans, Stewart to Columbus, and now Hampton to New York. Russell Westbrook going to Wisconsin. So Wisconsin's definitely going to look a lot different. They don't have Embiid. They don't have Harden. No Lonzo Ball. That's been the case for a while. Speaking of Lonzo Ball, Hero goes to Montreal. Lonzo up next. Looking for, he could be a starting point guard in the right spot. Looks like he'll ride the bench, though. He'll be the number 2 guy. Denver Summit gets Lonzo Ball. Go get Bitadze. See, this is where we're starting to near the end here. Montreal Gatiques get Goga. A team I have not seen yet, the Miami Night Owls. I want to talk about a team that is getting absolutely hosed right now. This random wheel spinning picker did not like the Night Owls. They still have 3 free agent bids out there, and they haven't gotten anybody yet. So they've been on the wheels, as you can see, and then nothing happened. Bobby Portis to Phoenix. So we're going to call it there. But you guys can see the list here. This is how free agency winded up. If you see your team, that's who you ended up with in that first wave of free agency. We'll unveil the full rosters in the next video. I'm going to go through all 36 teams in the coach game plan screen, and you guys can see who went where. But that's what we had. Miami ended up with Nerlens Noel, Bruce Brown, and Rui Hashimura. So you talk about a bad trade. They lost Hardaway, Tatum, and Mitchell for that. So the Night Owls are basically screwed going into next year. I don't know how they can field a competitive roster, but you never know. You never know. We will see how that team meshes together. Supernova is also a team that they had 3 bids to play with, and their best case scenario was Alexander Walker, Conley, Keldon Johnson. Washington Founders also did not have a great free agency. Whiteside, Davis, and Bassey. I think they might have been hoping for something a little bit better. Kabengele went to the Stags. So there you go. Interesting stuff. Wisconsin, like I said, it's going to be a little bit different of a team there. Isaac and Westbrook versus Embiid and Harden. But they still have a good nucleus. So we'll see how they do, guys. We are going to see you in the next video. I wanted to split that up in the offseason because me talking about 36 teams, if I spend a minute and a half on each team, the video is going to be an hour long. So I had to split that part up. But we got through the draft and we got through free agency, and that's what we really wanted to see here today. It's not going to be 3.5 weeks, obviously. Probably in a few days, I'll have the season preview ready to go. Then we'll get into the regular season, which should only last a couple episodes. And then we get into the playoffs. And then we have the XBA finals. And then I have a quick sim of season 7. And that will be the finale. So probably going to take me a couple weeks to wrap the series up. But thanks for sticking with us. And if you're still here from our intro video that has like 650,000 views, if you are still here, if you are one of the last 300 holding out till the very end, thank you. And we'll see you in the next one.